Welcome to scatter plots. So what is a scatter plot? Well, it's a bunch of points on a graph that shows the relationship of one set of data to another. And you're like, one set of data to another? Well, yeah. Remember, we have X and we have Y. So a scatter plot is just connecting. Here, it looks like some beach parties. We're connecting the kites and the volleyball. So how do we do that? Well, we use the X and Y to plot each point and see what the data looks like. So I have 12, 16. Now remember, and I know that because X is here, right? So kites is X. Okay, so I can think X and volleyballs are up here, so those are Y. So volleyballs are Y. So these are just coordinates, 12, 16, 11, 20. So 12, 16, I'm going to go to 12 on the X. I'm going to go up to 16, and I'm going to plot my points. And I'm going to do that for each one of these. So like 11, 20. I'm going to go to 11. You're like, but there is no 11. Well, it's in the middle, right here. And then I'm going to go up to 20. And I'll work my way all the way through. Okay, so here I have plotted all of the points on the same graph. So we just have dots, and we don't connect them, but we look for relationships. We look for, okay, if I was to say there was and let's think of this word, trend. It's common to call it a trend. What is the trend? What's happening over time? And if you notice, it kind of looks like, well, they all kind of seem to be falling down a little bit, right? To the right here. So think slope. Think slope. If I was to draw a line in the middle of all this information, if I was to make this into a line, this would be headed downhill, right? So we can say we have a negative trend or a negative association. And that's what we're going to look at next. Determine the association or relationship, positive, negative, no relationship, linear or nonlinear. So a positive linear relationship, when you plot your points, they're going to be headed uphill. They're going to be going from left to right. They're both increasing. And it's linear because it roughly looks like a line. If I just kind of pushed them together a little bit more, they would make a pretty good line. A negative linear relationship tells me that as my X increases, my Y decreases. So as my X goes up, my Y goes down. But you can also think of it as slope. If you saw this, you'd be going down the hill. Down the hill would be a negative association. And this is pretty much a line. You can see a line here. If you made a little valley for it, you'd be up. Yeah, okay. But now check this guy out. Yeah, there's not a line here. This is a curve, right? So it's nonlinear. That is still positive. It's just nonlinear. It's going up. The data is as X increases, Y increases, but we call that a nonlinear relationship. And in our last section here, we just have a whole bunch of dots that don't seem to be doing much of anything. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's not curving, it's not making a line. There's no pattern. There's no trend. There's no way of saying, well, I think this could happen in the future. There's no way of making a prediction. And from that, we call that no relationship. So just a quick review. If you were to look at the first box here, would that have a relationship? Is there a trend? Yeah, I don't see one either. So I would actually call this no. This has no relationship. If I look in the middle, well, this seems to kind of be making a pretty good line. So I would call this linear. And if you're, what about this guy out here? He's just an outlier, no big deal. We'll have those from time to time, just a set that's significantly different. That's okay. But most of the data makes a line. So we will call it linear, and it's headed downhill because as X increases, Y decreases. So this would be negative linear association. And then we look here. Well, that's not making a line. What is that making? That's making a parabola or a U. So we would call this nonlinear. And you don't need to know this for your assignment today, but just for fun, everything on the left is negative. Everything on the right is positive. A little bit of both, but you will not see that. You'll have to either pick if it's going negative, if it's going positive, and you may see some linear and nonlinear in the near future.